OpenClaw. You've no doubt heard about it by now. It is this personal AI agent assistant thing that people are buying Mac minis and they're putting it on there. And then, depending on who you are or who you listen to, it's either changing your life and automating everything or it's completely overhyped. And in this video, I want to show you how you can build your own personal AI assistant on the Copilot SDK, how easy it is to do that. And then I'm going to make a strong argument to you about why you absolutely should do that. And I'm going to show you one that I built and how I actually think it is changing my life and helping me automate a lot of the tasks in my day to day. And so, if you're ready, let's do it. So I think the best way to start this video is really to just show you what I built. Now, again, this video is not about what I built, it's about what you can build, but this is what we'll be sort of trying to build here in this video, and it's called Max. I'll leave a link to this if you just want to see what I've done here. And Max is my personal AI assistant. And so we can talk to Max over Telegram here. And Telegram is what we're going to be using in the video today to converse with this assistant from anywhere. So we'll just send a hello message here, and you'll see that Max is typing. And then momentarily, we get a response from Max. Now, for the rest of the demo here, I'm actually going to talk to Max over Telegram in the web because it doesn't work so well for me to give it commands on the phone, just on the little running the phone on the desktop here like I'm doing on the Mac, what's built into Mac OS. So let's switch over to the web real quick. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the other things that this bot can do. I can say, for instance, hey Max, I was working on a draft of a blog post yesterday. Could you just go ahead and give me the link to that draft? All right, and then there's the blog post that I was working on. This is the one. And then it can do things like check my email. Hey Max, do I have any emails that look pretty important, say in the last 48 hours that I haven't looked at yet? And Max says he's checking. And yes, I did say he, and I do call it Max. Okay. He's checking. He'll be back shortly. And what Max is doing is using background workers. And all of this is powered by the Copilot SDK. It's checking my personal Gmail, and it's going to come back and give us an answer here. And so what I want to do here is kind of show you how to build out this integration with Telegram, with GitHub. As you've seen here, this is my personal blog running on GitHub here, and with Google Workspace. So that's what we'll be doing in this video. Now, before we get started, you don't need to have a very complex machine to run this, right? So I'm actually running this on a little B-Link machine that's over here on the side. It's a little bit bigger than this one here, but I think this is just fine. And I'm running Omakub or Omakub. I'm actually not sure how to pronounce this, but it is a really, really nice Linux setup. It's on Ubuntu. It has a really nice UI, great window switching. And then Max is back with our email here, and I actually had to give it a little direction here. I was messing around with this yesterday, demoing and trying to get it to use a browser. So I had to guide a little bit, but it looks like I have a security alert for my son who logged in, and then some GCP projects, which are going to be shut down. Everything else is LinkedIn alerts, Reddit notifications, bank balance. Want me to pull up the details of the other two? Yeah, I guess I could say how much is in my checking account, but we won't do that on this video. So, okay, let's get started and actually build out this personal assistant with Telegram and with email functionality. And we're going to do that on the Copilot SDK. All right, so we're logged into the GitHub Copilot CLI. I'm using it in Visual Studio Code as I always do. And we're going to use a custom agent today. This custom agent is one that I've created. If you watch the orchestration video, then you will know this. This one's called Anvil. And I'm working inside of a Docker container here, so we have a clean environment. So let me just grab this, and then let's paste it in. And if you remember, we can sort of suspend the Copilot CLI by pressing Control Z, and that just suspends it. We can paste our command here. Okay, plugin is installed. And then remember, we do FG to bring the CLI back. And now we can look for agents, and we may need to restart the CLI to pick that agent up. Let's see if that's true. /agent. Yes, and now we see it. And if you want to know about what Anvil does, I recommend watching that orchestration video where we talk about Anvil. But basically, essentially, it does a couple things. It uses Context 7 MCP server to search for docs. It really tries to get the agent to fetch on the web. It has some guiding principles, and then it gets the CLI to use multiple models to actually write code. So it uses Opus, Gemini 3 Pro, and GPT 5.3. I should update it to 5.4 because 5.4 is out now. Now, you don't need the Anvil agent to do that, but I do everything on Anvil now, so that's what I'm going to be using here in this video. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to get Copilot CLI to learn everything that it can about the Copilot SDK. And we're going to use this new research command that's built into the CLI, and then we're just going to have it research GitHub/Copilot SDK. And that is the repository for the Copilot SDK. It contains all the code, all of the docs. Essentially, I want the CLI to know everything it can possibly know about the Copilot SDK so that it doesn't try to do things that don't exist in the SDK or write code that won't work. So while this is running, let me sort of explain what the Copilot SDK is and what it does. It essentially wraps the Copilot CLI and allows you to embed it in your project or your code. So instead of having to call the CLI commands directly, which your code could do, it's an SDK that just makes it super easy to do that. So you can add essentially the Copilot CLI to any project. And that is what is powering Max here, right? This is how Max knows how to execute commands, how it knows about GitHub, is because it can do anything that the Copilot CLI can do, which is a lot, right? You get the whole Copilot CLI harness plus all the tools like file editing and GitHub MCP. You just get that for free, which means out of the box, your agent can do almost anything. So again, pretty exciting. It's so much fun to build one of these. Let's check on the research. Okay, so here's our full report right here. If we click on this, here it is. You can see it's quite lengthy, and that's good. I want it to know everything about the SDK, and it looks like it's learned a lot. Now, the next thing that we want to do here is I want to switch out of plan mode, and I want to instead, I want to look at and see how much of the context window have we actually used. So 132K of 200K, so 66% of the context window. Okay, it's good to know because we're going to reset the context window. And if you've watched some of my other videos, you'll have heard me say maybe that the context window is like a room. It's not a memory, it's a room. So the more cluttered it gets, the harder it is for the AI to even function. It's just confused. And so we're going to do that right now. So what we're going to do is hit compact. And what compact is going to do is it's going to basically tell the AI, hey, summarize everything we've done and learned in this session. And then it's going to start a new session and attach that as the context for that session. So it has some recollection of what happened here. Again, it's like moving to a different room and taking just the stuff from this room that you need with you to the new clean room. Okay, compaction is complete. And then we have this file here, which this file is actually here, this full report, home, node, Copilot, session state, blah, 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 blah. We actually want it in this project. And the easiest way to get it in this project is to click here. So I've already opened, I'll do it again. We're going to command click. And then if we open the sidebar, just drag it in. And boom, it's right there. And the reason why we do that, so let's close these out, is because now we're going to actually implement we're going to want to make a plan on this knowledge of the SDK. So I'm going to shift tab into plan mode here, and I'm going to say something very simple about what I want to do. I used to try to explain to the AI everything that I wanted in one prompt, and that's a big mistake. It's better to be as vague as you can and let plan mode help you build out the details. So let's walk through it. I want to build a personal assistant on the Copilot SDK that I can communicate with over Telegram. And then I'm going to use the @ sign, and I'm going to specifically mention our research here, the markdown file. And then I'm going to go ahead and send it, and I'm going to let the plan mode ask me clarifying questions to actually put together a really detailed plan, and that will help us get a better result with higher confidence at the end here instead of building something that might be broken right out of the gate. So let's see what plan mode does here. Okay, so the first question is, which language do we want to use? It says Python and Node is recommended. That's what's in our dev container. Python. There's also a Go SDK. And really, you can use any of these languages that you want. I'm starting to think that it's more important that you know how to put the pieces together versus the programming language. So just because we don't know Go doesn't mean we couldn't use Go, even though that wasn't recommended. But we're going to use what's recommended, which is just TypeScript and JavaScript. But consider that you may not need to understand the programming language to actually build something depending on what you're doing. You may disagree very strongly with that statement, but just consider whether or not there's any truth there. Okay, how should the Copilot SDK authenticate? So GitHub token via environment variable. So it looks like simplest requires a Copilot subscription. Here, what I'm going to do is, because I don't really understand, all I wanted to do is just let the user log in to the Copilot CLI. Okay, because when the SDK is actually used, you have to be logged into the CLI. And if you're not, then it needs to know how to handle that. So what's the scope do you want for personal? Copilot SDK supports custom tools, MCP servers, hooks, and subagents. So what we want is full featured tools, MCP. I want everything that the CLI has, all of its powers. I want those powers in this personal assistant. How should Copilot sessions map? One persistent session per Telegram user. One session per Telegram chat? Nope. Yeah, we want the persistent session. Okay, which Telegram bot do you prefer? I don't know anything about Telegram bots, but I'm going to choose this first one here. TypeScript first, modern, well-maintained. That sounds promising to me. All right, now you see our agent helping out here where it's using context 7, and it's actually looking up Copilot SDK documentation. So it has the research that it's done. It's looking up documentation. It just looked up documentation for Grammy. So it's just doing a lot of research here. Okay, so our plan is ready, and I'm going to go ahead and choose number 1, which is accept plan and build on Autopilot plus Fleet. If you watch the Ralph video, Fleet is where it deploys a bunch of sub agents to take care of things, and it tries to continue working until it gets all the way to the end. So this is going to take a minute to complete. We'll fast forward and come back and talk about the results. So I will see you in just a second. Okay, it's done, and you can see there's a lot more files in our project now, especially in the source folder here. Okay, so update built a fully featured Telegram personal assistant on the GitHub Copilot SDK. Awesome. Now the question is, how do we run it? Okay, so to run, copy env.example to env. Okay, so here's env.example. So I think we can just rename this, right, to env. Perfect. And then add your Telegram bot token, ensure Copilot auth login is done, and then run npm run dev. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this Telegram bot token. Let's ask. Now, before we do that, I'm going to switch to a smaller model here, like Haiku. And I'm just going to say, let's switch out of Autopilot. Where can I get the Telegram bot token? I actually know how to do this, but let's just assume for a second we have no idea how to sub a Telegram bot. I want the CLI to walk us through that. Okay, so we need to open Telegram and search for BotFather, start a new conversation, create a new bot, follow the prompts. Okay, and then we need to paste in our tokens into this file here, right? And it looks like our Telegram bot token is what we want, and we want to paste that into our env file there. Okay, so in Telegram, if we just search for BotFather, you'll find it right here. It's very popular. And then what can this bot do? And then let's start a chat. And now we want to do new bot. All right, a new bot. What are we going to call it? We can call it anything. Let's just call it personal assistant. And then we're going to have to choose a unique name for it. And so I'm going to call this Burks. Let's just call this Burks personal assistant demo bot. And then it has to end with bot or underscore bot, as it shows in the example there. And then we get this key that we need. So we're going to copy this right here. So I'm going to Control C, copy that, and then paste that in right there as per the instructions. And then we can click on this, and that will actually add the bot. So here's the bot, and we can start it. Now, our personal assistant isn't running, so we need to start the personal assistant. So let's go back here, and it looks like the default model, you know, I'm going to recommend that we use Sonnet 46. It's a very good model, Sonnet 46. And okay, so then let's come back here. We want to start this, and it says, I think we just did npm run dev. I forget. Let's see, was it npm run? Excuse me. So if we don't know, we can just do npm run. So it's like npm run dev. So npm run dev. starting the personal assistant, Telegram bot starting, send start to begin chatting. Okay, so in theory, if we come back to Telegram here, we should be able to say, hello? Okay, and we got a thinking response right away, which I think came from here. Yes, create a session. Okay, there it is. So just like that, we're up and running with Telegram and we have a bot. I'm here. I'm the Copilot CLI, your terminal assistant. I can help you. And of course, it thinks it's a coding assistant. So we would need to go back and work on this. But this is great. So out of the box, we get access to things like GitHub. So we could say something like, could you please go check on the simple React snippets repo and tell me if there's any PRs there that I need to take a look at? And that's just one of my projects. And so let's just see if this bot can go off and do something useful for us without any other configuration on our end. And it looks like it wants to know where it's at. So we have some work to do on the bot here, but I think it's just simple React snippets. See if it can take care of this task for us here. And I'm curious actually what model this is. We said Sonnet 4.6 in the configuration, but let me just ask, what model are you? Because these responses are pretty quick. I'm Haiku 4.5. Okay. And I wonder, switch to Sonnet 4.6. I wonder if it can do that. I don't have the ability. Okay. So we'd have to go build this ability into the agent, but you can see we've already got something that's up and running. And we did that just by building on the Copilot SDK. So now the question though is how overhyped or not overhyped are these bots? And for me, I find it really useful. And the reason is because I can use this bot to do work both when I'm at my desk and when I'm not. And I can do a lot of things asynchronously. So let me give you a practical example of how I would use this in my daily life. So here at Microsoft, part of what I do in community sometimes is we run AMAs on Reddit. So if we go to the GitHub Copilot subreddit here, GitHub Copilot subreddit, one of the things that you'll see is that we did an AMA right here to celebrate 50,000 members. We had a blast doing this. You can see it's quite long with a lot of questions, a lot of answers from the team. And so what we would want to do now is figure out what is it that people are asking and what do they want. And then we want to compile that into a report for the product team so they can see this is what people are asking for. This is why we do the AMAs, is so that we can figure out what it is that people are actually interested in and what do they want, because it may not be what we think people want. So this is how I would use the bot to do that. Hey, Max, can you please go out and take a look at the Reddit AMA that we did last week on r/GitHub Copilot? Find the main themes and insights, stuff the product team's going to want to know about based on the questions that people asked, compile that into a Google document, and then just drop the link here in the chat. Okay, so it's off working on it. Now I'm going to go off and do something else. So when it comes back, it's going to notify me. And I find that working over chat like this is really nice because I'm going to get a notification when it's done. But at this point, I'm going to continue on and do something else here. So I'm going to say, Max, I believe I gave you access to Twitter/X the other day. Is that access actually working? Can you just check? And you'll notice I'm referring to things that happened days ago in the past, right? And the memory is a big part of what makes the bot or the assistant actually helpful because it can take, parts of things that you're saying, remember things that happened before, put those together and actually give you an answer so that you're talking to it the way that you would talk to a human being. You don't want to have to re-describe the situation every single time. So it's going to check on that and it's going to get back. And then while it does that, I'm going to do one more thing. Max, last week I published a video on the Copilot, Autopilot, and Fleet versus a Ralph loop. Can you make me a YouTube thumbnail 16:9 for that video? And I'm going to send that off as well. So it looks like X access is working, connected and authenticated without issues. So I can say, great. Can you do a search on X then under your account and just find like what are the big AI topics everyone is talking about today? What are the things I need to know about? We're going to send that one as well. So you can see there's multiple things happening here at one time. And if we wanted to see what those different things are, there's a workers command, and we can see the Reddit analysis is actually currently running in the background. And I'm surprised we don't see one for the X as well. Oh, there it is right there. It was just a little delayed. So the AMA analysis is running, the X analysis is running, and while it's doing that, I can move on to other things. So I actually find that these bots are super powerful. The question is just what can they do? And of course, because of skills here, you can really have them do anything at all. You just need to add a skill for it. And I had to come back and re-record this because I forgot to show you the results because I don't ever want you to think that I'm just blowing smoke. We just show you what the agent brought back for the things that we asked it to do for my real life job here. So you can see here the AMA analysis is done and has been added to a document just like I asked for. Here's everything that's hot on X day, including vibe coding, and apparently models are lying to people. No surprise there. And then I had to nudge it a little bit, made a mistake, but there's my YouTube thumbnail, right? Not quite what I wanted. I could work with that, but just so you can see that the bot is actually delivering the things that I need to do the job. And if you look at my last video, it looks a lot like that thumbnail because Max made that thumbnail. So I would encourage you, build your own personal assistant. If nothing else, it's a ton of fun. And remember, you can take a look at mine, which is called Max, which I've put quite a bit of work into. There's a terminal UI and a Telegram UI. But if you just want to see some of the things that I've done, you can take a look at that and how I've put that together. But build your own personal assistant on the Copilot SDK. It's a ton of fun. You can use it from anywhere. You can make it do anything and start automating parts of your life. I think that you'll find that maybe you're out for a walk somewhere and you'll remember something about a repository, and instead of having to come back to your computer to use Copilot, you can just talk to your personal assistant because you are talking to Copilot when you do that. Thanks for watching this video. I really like these personal assistants, and I don't think they're overhyped. I think they're actually really cool. Go build your own. And as always, happy coding.